The Bears' initial 53-man roster is set, and there were a lot of surprise cuts around the NFL. Which players could the Bears be interested in? I want to quickly go over the initial 53-man roster. Also, talk about the biggest names available on waivers and in free agency that Ryan Poles could add to the roster. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, we know that Jalen Johnson has been activated. He is on the 53-man roster, but Travis Homer and Amen Ogbongbemiga have both been put on the injured reserve with a designation to return, meaning that both guys are on the IR, but they are expected to return this season. Anyone who goes to the IR has to miss at least 4 games, but they can begin practicing with a 21-day window before they have to be added back to the roster. Both players will miss the first 4 weeks at minimum, though. But for the other 4 guys listed, their seasons are over. Terrell Smith, we knew about already, but Deion Hankins and Sean Wade are also both on the injured reserve. Meanwhile, rookie Zay Frazier, his season is over as well. He will basically get a redshirt season and can stay with the team, though. He can attend meetings and watch practice, and he can work out in the weight room and get bigger. But his rookie season is over. He is not eligible to return. Ryan Poles would add a little bit of clarity on the personal situation that Frazier has been dealing with, but not much. He basically said it was not known about until after they drafted him, but it does stem from his past, which means it was an issue before he was drafted. We just didn't know about it. But he's going to spend his rookie year in the weight room, going to meetings and working with the medical staff. Ryan Poles believes that he is on the right path. He has a year to get right here, and hopefully he will take this opportunity seriously. A key difference, though, for those players is that they are still Chicago Bears, whereas a guy like Bill Murray, who was waived injured, he is not a Bear anymore, but he is eligible to return to the practice squad. Bill Murray was one of the bigger names that got cut, but some other guys on the list, in case you missed it: Jamry Croma, Zach Pickens, Ian Wheeler, Doug Kramer, Tyler Scott, and a bunch more. I have the list up on the screen in case you want to look through that and see if there's anybody you missed. But the Bears have officially cut the roster down to 53 players. And honestly, I was only mildly surprised by just one move. When comparing my 53-man roster projection to those in the media, I came away pretty happy. It seems that most people expected to know Passanio was going to make it, and I saw some others who thought Roshan Johnson and Dominique Robinson would be cut, but overall, there weren't really many surprises with the roster cuts. 52 of the 53 players I had projected made the roster. The two small changes is that the Bears kept Chris Williams over Zach Pickens, and that's something I thought might happen, but I thought that Pickens' draft status may give him the edge. That's not the case anymore. We'll talk about Ryan Poles' third-round picks soon. Don't worry about that. But the other moves that were made were Travis Homer and Amen Ogbongbemiga going to the injured reserve. And then the only guy I didn't have on my 53 that made the team is linebacker Carl Jones, an undrafted free agent out of UCLA last year. I mentioned him, but I doubt he sticks on the roster all year long as more moves are coming, and he's probably one of the bottom guys on the 53. But for now, this is the official 53-man roster for the 2025 Chicago Bears: 25 players on offense, 25 on defense, and of course the 3 special teamers. But there will be some changes before the regular season. I promise you, it happens every year. Jade Walker is on the roster, but I don't want to celebrate too early. Just like Carl Jones might not stick around for a long time, as I expect another 2 to 4 moves will be announced in the next day or two. Right now, the roster looks pretty solid, but Ryan Poles is always looking to improve the 53. And even though there weren't a lot of surprise cuts with the Bears, when you look around the NFL, there were a lot of surprises, including some first round picks who got cut and a bunch of second and third rounders as well. Ryan Poles was not the only GM that cut a third round pick today. but at least we weren't cutting first and second rounders. Let's go through some of the surprise cuts around the NFL and talk about a couple guys the Bears might be interested in, including Cole Strange, the Patriots' first round pick in 2022. He did not make the roster. He was the next to last first round selection by Bill Belichick. His final first rounder was Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback. But I was a big fan of Cole Strange in college. I had him as a second round sleeper that year and was hoping the Bears would be interested. Unfortunately, he didn't fall to the second round. He's still young, and he's a player that could add some competition to the bottom of the roster. There were a couple other first round picks released, including cornerback CJ Henderson. He's headed back to free agency again as well. The Colts cut their second round pick from 2023, Juju Brents, the cornerback. He's extremely athletic and physical, another guy who was awesome at the Senior Bowl a couple of years ago, and he tested off the charts athletically. His issue is health. He needs to stay healthy after suffering a torn meniscus and a torn MCL last year. He was back on the field for training camp, but is he 100%? The Colts giving up on a second rounder this early in his career usually is not a good sign. A couple other teams cut third round defensive tackles as well. The Lions cut their third rounder from 2023, Broderick Martin, and the Steelers cut their early third round pick from 2022, another defensive tackle, DeMarvin Lill out of Texas A&M. I was a big fan of his in college, but again, these defensive tackles have been struggling to stick around and take their game to the next level in the NFL. But there were a few other intriguing names to keep an eye on here. Running back Audric Estime, Ohio State center Seth McLaughlin, Cam Robinson as a tackle. I'm not a big fan of his, though. A few other pass rushers. Clelin Ferrell was another first round pick that got cut. And then here's the guy I want to talk about, Isaiah Foskey, a second round pick for the Saints just 2 years ago. He was a second round pick for the Saints just 2 years ago. And obviously, Dennis Allen had to like him a lot in order for the Saints to pick him that high. He's just 24 years old, and he scored a 9.61 on his RAS while running a 4.58 40-yard dash as a defensive end. This is a guy with a lot of upside. He's not a guy who's very good against the run, but he projects as someone who can get after quarterbacks. Although he has 0 career sacks in his 2 seasons, but he hasn't started a single game yet. If Dennis Allen believes he's a guy who can help our defense or that he can continue developing here, he's definitely a guy I think we could be interested in. It's also kind of crazy to think that the Bears would give Dominique Robinson 4 full years to develop, and the Saints wouldn't even give Isaiah Foskey 3. A lot of other people are bringing up a name from Detroit, Dan Skipper, the offensive tackle who's familiar with Ben Johnson. He was a Lions backup tackle the last couple of years. The thing is, the guy is over 30 years old, and he's only started a handful of games at tackle in his entire 10 plus years in the NFL. I don't know if I'd be a huge fan of that pickup. We have some young developmental guys at tackle. Now, if we traded Braxton Jones or something and all of a sudden we had an extra spot on the roster, then a guy like Dan Skipper would make a lot of sense. But one more sleeper name I want to mention here, if we're looking for depth at cornerback behind Kyler Gordon at nickel, watch out for Beanie Bishop. He had 4 interceptions last year as an undrafted free agent, but he did not make the team this year. And then one other guy not listed, Khalil Herbert, also got cut today. Running was never Herbie's issue. He's just not a good pass blocker. Hopefully, he's been working on that. But that's all for today, guys. The Bears roster is down to 53 players, and I don't want to speculate too much, but I do expect more moves to come. Hopefully, nothing that puts Jade Walker's spot in question. I really want him to stick around. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments. As always, I appreciate everyone who watches. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.